Piccolo has been freed once more, and this time he's going to stay free for good. What's everyone supposed to do to stop him? We'll be covering that and more in the 7th part of What If Goku Was Piccolo's Vessel. Piccolo begins his fight with Majin Buu. And Piccolo does have a lot more power, but he's still a little worn out. But thankfully right before he killed Goku, he was able to get one last parting gift. He knew Goku had a Senzu Bean on him. He was part of Goku after all. So he made sure to take that from him, and he eats the Senzu Bean. He was saving it for a moment like this. He really needs it. And now the two could fight uninhibited. He notices Buu keeps regenerating, and it's pretty powerful too. Buu's regeneration seems way better than his, both in terms of potency and efficiency. He could actually stop Buu right now, but he lets Buu fight for a bit. He wants to study his moves. The easiest thing he could do is just Mafuba him. He suffered it himself, but he has bigger plans in mind. He even witnesses Buu's candy beam. You know what? That's actually a pretty good idea. He never thought of doing something like that. With his level of magic, he wonders if he could pull that off. He has his clothes beam, but what if he were to apply it to a person instead of their clothes? And turn them into something different? It should work as long as they're much weaker than him. He coaxes Buu into using it a few more times, dodging it easily and studying it further. Then he fires one back at Buu, or at least he makes it look like it's aimed at Buu. It launches right past him and hits Babidi. Too fast for Babidi to defend against. Babidi turns into a piece of candy, and Piccolo stretches an arm out, then eating the Babidi candy. It doesn't taste very good, but the candy beam at least worked, and it has the intended side effect. He's able to gain all of Babidi's powers. Physically, this won't affect him at all, but in terms of magic, he grows far more powerful than he could have hoped for. Now he has everything, incredible physical power and incredible magic power. Buu is really the only one who could rival him, and the only obstacle in his way. So he uses Buu as a punching bag for a bit, just to test his newfound strength. As much as he hates to admit it, Babidi did outclass him in magic. But it makes sense, Piccolo only really had mental training, and didn't really have much to practice his magic with. He has grown significantly, but still, it's not to this level, not even close. He even creates shields strong enough to stop Buu's attacks. His magic and ki are skyrocketing, and he can use them both together. He's manipulating the battlefield around him. But then he gets an even better idea. Babidi has the power of mind control. So what if he were to try that with Buu? The issue is Buu is really hard to control, and this magic is really new to Piccolo. On his resume, he has possessed someone before, but with very different circumstances. He was thinking he could use Buu as a weapon for himself, but he has an even better idea. Instead of having Buu as a weapon, what if he just took Buu's power as well? He tries to think of a way to do this, because he doesn't really know the best way. The candy beam might not be potent enough. As for the Mafuba, if he does something like what Goku did to him, then maybe he can contain Buu, but that gives Buu the chance to escape. And Babidi's possession won't work on its own either. But what if he were to combine all the three? And even better, after this, he could use it to absorb Kami's power. It's pretty surprising that Kami hasn't sacrificed himself, and Piccolo wonders why. But that's good for him. It means he's alive and he can take Kami's power next. But first, he wants to see if this works on Buu. What he does is essentially make his own type of fusion. It takes all of his power and concentration, but he combines the principles of 4 things. The power of the candy beam to transfigure the target, the power of the Mafuba to seal them, the power of mind manipulation, for even better control, and his innate ability to fuse with the Namekians. He takes what he knows from every one of these, on top of his boosted magic. Plus, the fact that Babidi even knows how to manipulate energy from other people. Buu starts to dematerialize. It takes all of Piccolo's concentration and power, but it ends up working. Nothing is left of Buu, and he can feel that Buu's essence is part of him now. Basically, Piccolo's made his own new version of power absorption. It took everything he had, but now he has this brand new technique. Essentially what he has is Moro's energy absorption, except it's a lot slower, it takes a lot more focus, and it needs contact. He can't do it from a distance. But with this, he can essentially absorb the power of people. Buu was a pretty easy target to do this on. Not because he was weak, but because he was already basically innately suppressed. And Piccolo noticed that fact about him. There was a weird goodness to him. And just to make sure that doesn't bother him later, he expels that goodness from himself. And then he tries to test out the new power he has. He jumps up in the air, with such immense speed that he ends up leaving the atmosphere. He just wanted to jump. He looks around him, and realizes that he's breathing in space. That's also new to him. He does some laps around Earth, and then glares at one of the nearby planets. A simple beam from his eyes is enough to blow it up, with the beam flying right through it and just traveling throughout space even further. Well, he's got to be careful with collateral damage now. But that barely took any of his power to do. He remembers how strong he was before when he was first unleashed. All those years ago when he first fought Goku. His power wasn't even a fraction of this. He wonders if he even needs Kami. Honestly, he doesn't know if he even needs more power. He'd rather just make it by like this. At some point it would be redundant for him to steal power. It might be a nice last resort, but he doesn't really need more ki. He just wanted Buu's abilities because of how potent they were, how interesting they were. He even tests out regeneration. He cuts his own arm off and then instantly regenerates it. He didn't even feel the pain from it, and it barely took any stamina to do. And then his severed arm regenerates a second copy of himself, sharing his same mind. So this is the type of power he has now. It's deserving of a new upgraded name. He's no longer just King Piccolo, he's Majin Emperor Piccolo. Because that's what he's gonna be. He's gonna be the next Emperor, the next Lord Frieza. He returns to Earth, teleporting to the World Tournament. He lets everyone know his new title, and the fact that he's already stopped any opposition. This time King Piccolo won't stop. He'll take over Earth once more and succeed fully this time. But they don't need to worry. He won't destroy it or them. He needs an empire after all, so everyone's gonna live. Besides any sort of opposition, of course. This message from the World Tournament is broadcasted everywhere. Let's go to Otherworld for a bit. Goku, of course, is allowed to keep his body up here. Right when he died, he went across Snake Way and met with King Kai, who's been watching everything with Earth. It's good that Goku's back to his normal self, and it seems he has kept some of the powers that Piccolo had for him. But at his current level, he's definitely not going to be able to stop Piccolo, especially with the fact that he just absorbed Majin Buu. So he spends his time up here thinking of what to do next. The Mafuba won't even work because Piccolo knows that. He knows the counters to it. Plus, Piccolo's so much stronger and faster than him that Goku doesn't even know if he'll be able to use it properly. But amidst his planning, someone else arrives on the planet. Surprisingly enough, Vegeta's here. He died when Piccolo incarnated because Piccolo forced his soul out to make sure that he wouldn't lose control. So that at least explains why he's dead, but how is he here? Well, Vegeta's not too sure either, but it looks like he was granted a body in Otherworld. It's probably due to the dire circumstances. But weirdly enough, something's different about Vegeta too. Personality-wise, he's still the same exact person. Like, nothing's changed about him mentally. But the reason he ended up here instead of Hell is interesting, and King Kai can instantly see why. It feels like Vegeta doesn't have evil within him anymore. Of course, he's considered a better person by now, but King Kai's talking about his innate presence. It's almost like Piccolo took all the evil with him. And that is pretty much what Piccolo did. To ensure no one else could take control of his body, just like he did with Buu, Piccolo has expunged any sort of good from himself. So not only did he separate Vegeta from him, but whatever goodness was from Vegeta. Essentially the inverse of what Goku did with pure Super Saiyan. King Kai wondered if there's some sort of bad within him. Like, he can't be completely good-hearted right now. Although, maybe he is. King Kai can't really tell. He was just surprised to see Vegeta here in the first place, and same for Goku. Weirdly enough, 2 more people appear on the planet, and they're completely unfamiliar. They also appear to be dead because they have halos on their head. But then it clicks with King Kai who these 2 are. And he immediately bows down to show respect and tells the other 2 to bow as well. It's the Grand Supreme Kai and the South Supreme Kai. Remember I mentioned the fact that Piccolo expunged any sort of good from him? Well, these 2 were part of Buu. These 2 also kinda held Buu back, which made the absorption a lot easier. Buu wasn't completely unhinged, and Piccolo wasn't gonna have these 2 as part of him. Well, that really changes things a lot. Speaking of Kais, what's happening on the Sacred World of Kais? Gohan, Krillin, Tien, and Kami have been working on a solution too. They have no clue of what's happening on King Kai's planet at the moment. So, they're up to their own thing. Gohan has actually pulled out the Z-Sword, and he's gonna try and train with it to kill Piccolo with. He promises that he will kill Piccolo himself. And Kami has actually considered sacrificing himself. That would have been an easy way to do that. Especially because after Piccolo became himself again, Vegeta died, so they wouldn't be killing Vegeta in the process too. There's nothing holding Kami back from doing this. Except, there's 2 big issues. So, had he done this earlier, Buu would have gone on a rampage. Of course, Piccolo's a huge threat too, but he was the only thing stopping Buu from going on a rampage here. But they have been keeping up with the situation, and if Kami tries to do this now, they don't know how it'll affect Buu. They know Buu is a part of Piccolo. And Kami worries that if he dies, Buu will be unleashed, and they will have no way of stopping him. There is a slight chance that Kami killing himself kills Piccolo, and that would take Buu with them, but the issue is they never tested this with Goku, and don't know the exact results. Before, Kami thought there were 2 outcomes, both Piccolo and Goku die, or just Piccolo dies. They avoided it because of the former, but now he's worried about the latter. There's a chance that Buu would live and be freed once more. Maybe even Babidi too, because he's part of Piccolo. Albeit as candy. Especially because there's so many variables here. It's not like what happened with Goku and Piccolo before. Piccolo took over Vegeta's body the same way. But the method he used to get Buu and Babidi's power, that was completely different. And to make things even worse, if they do unleash Buu, he might be completely unbridled. Shin fears that he'll be completely evil. Because those other 2 Kais were a part of him this entire time, and Piccolo probably would have expunged them from himself. Which means they've been expunged from Buu. So if Buu were freed, he'd be Kid Buu. Although he's not exactly sure, maybe those 2 Kais are still part of him. But again, there's too many variables to do this. It's way too risky. Although it does make him wonder, what did happen to those 2 Kais? They're either a part of Piccolo now and can try and suppress him, or Piccolo eliminated them. So where would they be now? Amidst this training and thinking, the Z-Sword eventually breaks, with Elder Kai being freed next. It's a bargain sale on Kais today. So before Shin and Kami can discuss that any further, they need to figure out what's going on with Elder Kai first. But then another Kai contacts them. It's King Kai. And he has a few big surprises. For 1, Vegeta and Goku are on his planet. And 2, the South Supreme Kai and Grand Supreme Kai are back. They're dead, but also on his planet. The Grand Supreme Kai teleports everyone over to that planet. This is a very good turn because first of all, Goku and Vegeta are still here. Yeah, they're dead, but they're here. Especially for Vegeta because they weren't sure what his fate would be. Piccolo inadvertently helped him here. Goku would have been in Otherworld with his body regardless though. But now the other two Kais are here to help. Maybe with this crew they could finally end this. They'll find a way to stop Piccolo for good. And Kami also realizes that if Piccolo dies in the process, he will die for sure. The difference is, if they kill Piccolo, it also completely eliminates the threat of Majin Buu. If they kill Kami instead, that threat might still be there. Unfortunately for Kami, he realizes these might be his last few days, but he'll spend what little of his life is left defending Earth to no end. He is the Guardian after all. He needs to make sure Earth is fine, even if that means him dying in the process, which is why he considered sacrificing himself in the first place. What's happening back on Earth though? By this point a day has passed. Piccolo starts to usher in his new empire. And despite his amazing power, he can't be in all these different places at once. Well, at least as he is now. He can split himself up into multiple copies. This isn't anything new for him, but thanks to Buu, he could do this so much more efficiently and effectively. But then, no one would know who the real King Piccolo is. That would be a problem. Thankfully, he has the perfect solution for this. It's something he's done long ago, but never really got to complete. He creates his sons once more, this time even making a few extra. But just as a little extra piece of security, not only are there more sons this time, but he's created one special one in particular, someone who's going to serve as his right-hand man, his most powerful son who also bears the same name as him. Obviously, Piccolo feels like he's fine now, but if he dies, then he'll be reincarnated through this son. So if by some chance they pull off a miracle and kill him, everything he has will be imparted onto his son, the newly born Piccolo Jr. And while he will be Piccolo's strongest son, he's not going to be the strongest son at the moment. All of Piccolo's other sons are born fully grown. This one is born as an actual kid. Thankfully, he'll grow up pretty quickly, like in a few years' time. Maybe even less. And that's a small price to pay for this security. This son will be his heir. If something bad happens to Piccolo, he'll take over. And if nothing bad happens to Piccolo, which is likely the case, he'll have a powerful, smart, loyal right-hand man. Piccolo and his sons all usher in a brand new era for planet Earth. This is the first planet that's going to be part of his empire, although certainly not the last. Piccolo has much grander plans this time. He knows some things about Frieza, but he doesn't have the complete picture there. Although he knows he was a great emperor with many planets under his control, but that empire will look like a joke in comparison to what Piccolo has in mind. He'll rule every galaxy, the entire universe maybe. He can't wait to get started. And with that, we'll leave off here for now. What do you guys think about this part, and what's going to happen next time? Leave your thoughts and ideas in the comments below. I'd love to see what you guys think. As usual, be sure to drop a like and subscribe if you haven't already. It really helps out the channel and shows me you want to see more videos like this. Anyways, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in my next video.